When the police handed me the report proving my own daughter-in-law had framed me, I didn't cry. I simply opened my binder and told her to sign the settlement or face the courthouse at dawn. That night changed everything, but the real truth was still waiting. The first sound I remember was the soft hum of a machine and the faint rhythm of a beeping monitor. Sunlight slipped through the hospital curtain, warming my cheek, reminding me that I was still alive. A nurse leaned over with that Charleston drawl only locals carry. "Baby, you gave us a real scare." Her voice had both kindness and fatigue. I managed a small smile. Guess the Lord wasn't done with me yet. My mouth was dry, my arm stiff from the IV, and my body felt foreign, like it belonged to someone who had fought a quiet war. When she handed me my discharge papers, I scanned the room. No flowers, no card. Not even a lipstick-stained coffee cup. The silence told me everything I needed. "Is my daughter-in-law here?" I asked. The nurse hesitated before saying, "She signed some papers and said she had to run. Something urgent." That word, urgent, hit different when you wake from a coma. I glanced at the empty drawer. My phone was gone, but my purse remained. Funny, how people choose what to leave behind. A hospital volunteer wheeled me toward the exit, talking about the weather, the humidity, and how spring never really leaves Charleston. I nodded, taking in the oak trees outside, their long, mossy arms waving like they knew I'd missed something. The world kept spinning while I was asleep. We stopped at a CVS so I could pick up medication and a new charger. That simple act, buying something with my own hands, felt like reclaiming a piece of control. Back home, I plugged in the charger, opened my laptop, and logged into my bank account. The screen lit up with alerts. 3 declined payments. The amounts were too neat, too planned, like a checklist. Venue retainer, catering deposit, bar minimum. My heart steadied instead of racing. "Money doesn't lie," I whispered, scrolling through the details. I saw the timestamp, the very day my sedation had lifted. Celandine hadn't just left the hospital. She'd used my card to throw a party. And not just any party. Mavis's 70th birthday. Her mother's name on my bill. The nerve almost made me laugh. I printed every receipt, each one sliding out like a page of evidence. My printer groaned, matching my heartbeat. I wanted to believe it was a mistake, but the pattern was too polished. There was even a voicemail from the venue manager. "Miss Marin will need a valid card by 5 to secure the booking for Ms. Mavis Voss." I played it twice. Once for disbelief, and again for resolve. I called my son, Langston. His tone was polite, rehearsed. "Mom, Cell said you needed rest. We didn't want to overwhelm you," I replied evenly. Quiet is one thing. Using my money while I was unconscious is another. There was a pause long enough for guilt to breathe. Then he muttered, "Mom." It was just a hold. Nothing went through, but the way he said hold told me he already knew too much. "Bring my old phone tomorrow," I said. "I need it to sync my health data." He agreed too quickly. When I hung up, I texted my attorney, "Thea Brantley, please hold Tuesday for a family finance matter." Evening crept in slow, with cicadas tuning up outside and the scent of magnolia heavy in the air. I sat on the porch with a glass of sweet tea, the condensation running down my fingers. The printer gave one last whir, spitting out another alert. Same vendor. New card attempt. 5 minutes ago. I tucked the papers into a manila folder labeled June Magnolia. The doorbell rang. Once, then again, harder. 2 women's voices blurred on the other side. One sharp, one trembling. Mavis and her daughter. I exhaled, stood, and unlocked the deadbolt. "If you came for a scene," I said, steady as the night air. "I brought the receipts." Mavis stood on my porch like she owned the place. Her daughter, Avon, right behind her, waving a half-empty binder and shouting, "You cost us everything tonight!" Their faces were red, still glossy from makeup that had outlasted their dignity. I didn't flinch. "If you came to talk, use your inside voice. If you came to holler, the gate's right there." My tone was level, just enough edge to remind them whose porch this was. I held the folder marked June Magnolia tight against my ribs. It felt like armor. Avon rolled her eyes. Celandine's too upset to face you. I met her gaze. Or too ashamed. I stepped back but kept 1 foot behind the rug. 2 minutes. Facts only. You don't cross this line. Mavis started with a tremor in her voice that turned sharp. You ruined my 70th. Do you know how much I lost? I opened the folder slowly, the sound of paper cutting through her rant. Multiple cards. Same vendor. Same 14 minutes, I said, sliding the printouts toward her. Retainer, bar, full package. That's not confusion. That's coordination. Avon looked away the moment I named the planner she'd hired. Guilt wears silence well. Ma'am, I continued, steady and polite. My money isn't a community well. You don't get to dip just because you're thirsty. I paused. Who had my phone? Neither of them spoke. We can keep this quiet or make it official. Your call. Avon crossed the doormat before I could blink, snatching at my folder. One sheet fluttered free. I caught it midair. Touch my documents again, I warned, and a third party can referee. My hand reached for the landline. 911, I said aloud as I dialed. Calm as a church bell. Family dispute. Attempted use of my financial accounts. Disturbance on my porch. I faced them both. You can wait here quietly or take it to the curb. Either way, I'm fine. I set the folder beneath a small brass angel on my entry table. The police arrived within minutes. Charleston quick when you use the right words. The younger officer greeted me with care. Miss Marin? I nodded. Handed over my printed evidence. Mavis tried to soften the blow. It's a misunderstanding. Maybe, I said, but misunderstandings don't need 4 different cards. The officer's tone turned professional. Did you authorize these payments? No. Would you like to document this? Yes. My answers were clipped. Precise. Truth needs no embroidery. He asked about the missing phone. It vanished sometime between surgery and discharge. I replied, while one officer spoke to them on the sidewalk. My landline rang. The venue manager's voice came through clear on speaker. We're canceling the booking. Multiple declines, all linked to Miss Marin's name, I said evenly. I was in the ICU that day. The officer wrote that down without comment. I asked the manager to forward the metadata to my attorney. Thank you for your professionalism, I added before hanging up. Avon whispered, It was supposed to be perfect. Perfection built on theft never lasts, I told her. The officers gave them a quiet escort to the curb. Mavis threw one last dart over her shoulder. We did it for appearances, I smiled thinly. Your appearances bounce like bad checks. After they left, I made tea, letting the kettle whistle louder than my thoughts. My printer chimed again, a new email. The venue's metadata attached. The timestamp matched the hour I was still under sedation. Outside, I heard a car door. Then Langston's voice, low and shaken. She called the cops on you? I dialed Thea, my attorney. Change of plan, I said. We move sooner. I glanced out the window and caught Celandine's shadow under the oak trees. Watching, not daring to come closer. If she won't step into the light, I whispered, I'll bring the light to her. Saturday morning came wrapped in sunlight and the low hum of gospel on my kitchen radio. I set my June Magnolia folder squarely on the counter. The incident number from last night clipped on top like a badge. Normalcy can be armor if you polish it right. I checked my blood pressure, poured tea, and watched the steam curl against the window glass. Then I photographed my desk, the empty phone dock gleaming under the light, time-stamped, proof of absence. My checklist was written in neat cursive: time, place, witness, condition. A lifetime of motherhood had taught me that every story needs documentation. I left a short voicemail for Thea Brantley, confirming my noon meeting with Langston and reminding her to prepare a spoliation letter if tampering showed up. Then I texted my son, bring my phone. Factory resets count as tampering, noon sharp. By the time the clock hit 12, I was already on the porch, tea beside me, the brass angel glinting from the windowsill. Langston's car rolled up quiet. He stepped out wearing that half-guilty grin men wear when they know they've disappointed their mama but still hope charm will help. Morning, Mom, he said, holding my phone like a peace offering. You hand it to me unlocked, I said evenly. No stories, no edits. My neighbor misses. Jacoby raked her front walk, pretending not to watch. Just enough witness for credibility. The phone was warm in my palm. No cracks, but lighter than before. You reset it? I asked. He swallowed. Just cleared junk files. I scrolled. Missing apps. Altered timestamps. New wallpaper. My heartbeat slowed instead of racing. You're off my cards until further notice. That's not punishment. That's protection. Inside, I sat at my desk and opened my emails sent folder. There it was. Planner packet, Mavis 70th, sent at 2:11 p.m. the day before. I opened the headers. IP address, client type, everything intact. You know what this means? I said. Langston stood by the door, silent. I accessed the home router, one habit from my late husband's IT days. The log showed a guest tablet named VOSTab connected between 2:07 and 2:19 p.m. The timestamps matched the email. I took photos of every screen and saved them in a folder labeled Network Evidence. This packet didn't walk itself out of my network, I murmured. He shifted uneasily. They just needed to hold the date, he said, his voice breaking like a boy's. The date was held with my credit. I replied. Then I opened my photo gallery. One image stood out, a menu from the venue's planner, uploaded at 2:12 p.m. I never took this photo, I said quietly. He looked away. Your wife used my phone while I was under anesthesia. The truth landed like a clean slap. Mom, she just wanted to help, he said. No, son, she wanted control. I typed a message to Thea. Router logs confirm activity. Proceed with preservation notice. I printed the screenshots, slid them into my binder, and closed it with a soft click that sounded like justice warming up. I called the bank next. Cancel all active cards. Issue replacements with one-time use limits, I said. Clear and steady, I removed Langston from every shared account but left his health coverage untouched. My generosity isn't a blank check, I muttered to myself. It's a budget with a backbone. By the time I emailed the officers with my update, the sun had tilted west. Then my phone vibrated. An unknown number. One line. Delete the router photos. Last warning. I stared at it, smiled faintly, and typed back. See you in daylight. After hitting send, I forwarded the message to Thea and turned on the porch camera export. If they wanted a fight, they'd get one, with documentation. By late afternoon, the sun stretched long across my kitchen counter, lighting up the edges of my June Magnolia folder. Every page looked like armor now. I stacked the screenshots from yesterday beside the incident number and opened my laptop. Thea, I said when she picked up, we've got a router match, a threat text, and a timeline that sings. She typed fast. I could hear it through the phone. Good, she said. We'll draft preservation notices. One for the venue, one for Celandine. I printed both, initialed each corner, and logged the time. Before hanging up, I forwarded the threatening text to Officer Ruiz, asking her to append it to the report. I won't fuss, I told her voicemail. I'll document you. Then I labeled each envelope and turned on my porch camera's continuous mode before grabbing my keys. The venue was quiet when I arrived, the kind of Saturday lull where even the air holds its breath. Inside, Marla Penn stood behind the counter, polite but wary. Miss Marin, she said softly. I handed her the envelope. Please preserve all correspondence, emails, and call logs related to the Mavis Voss booking. I laid out my evidence, the 2:11 p.m., send time, the router log matching her system entry. Marla's brow furrowed. That does match the decline sequence, she admitted. Under Celandine Voss, her voice dropped lower, almost apologetic. We didn't realize. I know, I interrupted, still calm. This isn't an argument, it's documentation. She stamped and signed the receipt. I photographed it for my file. Before leaving, I asked for a printed copy of their event policy. You'd be surprised, I told her, how fast paper disappears when guilt starts talking. As I stepped outside, my phone buzzed with a notification, a Facebook post. Celandine's sister had written something vague but poisonous. When elders sabotage, God still sees. I stood still, thumb hovering over reply, then hit screenshot instead. I called Pastor Isaiah Mays, my old friend. Just a heads up, Reverend. The gossip train's left the station. He sighed. You want me to say something? No, I said. Let silence do the talking. Then I recorded a short voice memo for my records. Date, time, source, screenshot saved. I have casseroles and receipts, I murmured, and I'll use the second. Back home. I scanned the venue receipt, uploaded it into my network evidence sleeve, and drew a single-line timeline on notepaper. Hospital, attempted booking, card declines, router match, threats, preservation notice, clean, chronological, bulletproof. Then I drafted a note to Langston. Until resolution, you're removed from all household accounts. Health coverage remains intact. I pinned it under the fridge magnet, shaped like South Carolina, and smiled faintly at the irony. I organized my new folder tab, Public Optics. Inside, I filed screenshots from that social post, adding one handwritten line, respond only to subpoenas, never to noise. The phone rang. Officer Ruiz again. Miss Marin, I logged the anonymous text. We'll have a patrol car swing by tonight. Her tone was brisk but kind. If messages escalate, come in for a harassment affidavit. I wrote down the form number. Appreciate it. Officer, also. I'm exporting my porch footage tonight. Dual format, one copy offsite. Smart, she said. If they show up again, call first, speak second. You don't have to tell me twice, I replied. After hanging up, I set a reminder for Thea's paralegal. File drop 8 a.m. Sunday. Just as I powered down the laptop, my security app chimed, a motion alert. 2 figures stood in the driveway, bathed in soft orange light. One carried a white bakery box tied with pink ribbon. I stepped onto the porch, heart steady but pulse awake. The handwriting on the lid was familiar, slanted and careful, to Drew, from Celandine. I carried the bakery box inside under the steady watch of my porch camera. The ribbon was pink, the handwriting too careful, Celandine's. I dated the label before breaking the seal. Inside was a sheet cake trimmed with gold frosting, the words spelled out in blue icing. Let's keep this in the family. Beneath the box lay an envelope. I slid on gloves, unfolded the single page, and read. A handwritten NDA claiming I sabotaged the celebration, demanding I pay the deposit, and forbidding police contact. A guilt contract dressed as kindness. I photographed every inch, sealed it in a plastic sleeve, and recorded a voice memo. If it ain't in writing, it didn't happen, now it is, I said quietly. Setting the cake on a cooling rack, I wiped only my own fingerprints. The house felt heavier, the kind of quiet that comes before a storm. I sat at my kitchen desk and dialed the credit union's after-hours line. Activate senior safeguards, I told the rep. Voice calm as stone. Reduce transfer limits on all joint accounts to 0, she confirmed. I opened a new sub-account, $200 only, my decoy fund. Any unauthorized pull would trigger alerts straight to my phone and to Thea Brantley's inbox. Then I revoked Langston's dashboard access, switched two-factor to a physical key, and noted each timestamp in my ledger. Forgiveness and locks aren't enemies, I murmured. I sent a short email to the venue. I am not a party to the booking. Please reference the preservation receipt. Finally, I texted Pastor Isaiah. Any peace talk must include counsel. No side rooms. By 8, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Unknown numbers. Blocked IDs. I let them roll to voicemail. Transcripts uploaded automatically to my evidence folder. Then came Celandine's sister. Another voicemail. Dripping with false sympathy. I ignored it. Sent Thea a scan of the NDA. Her reply came fast. Do not sign. Civil intimidation. I texted Langston next. No phone contact, email only. Counsel CC'd. Then I brewed chamomile and scrolled quietly through Facebook. 3 new posts hinting I'd ruined a birthday. I screenshotted them all with timestamps. When a choir friend texted asking if I was okay, I told her gently, just pray and don't feed stray fires. The next call came at 9:17. I hit record and opened with my consent line. You're on a recorded line. Do you agree to be recorded? Silence. Then a hissed. Fine. The woman's tone was low, steady. If you wire the funds within an hour, We'll stop talking about your little hospital episode. My pulse slowed. You're asking me to pay under threat to my reputation, I repeated, keeping my voice flat. You heard me, she said. Then spell your name for verification. She slipped and gave it. Celandine. I noted the time. Asked for a routing number. She refused. We'll come by if you stall. Click. I exported the audio and metadata, emailed it to Thea and Officer Ruiz with a short line. Threat documented. No contact beyond counsel. My closing note to myself read, I don't negotiate with threats. I archive them. I locked the kitchen, turned on night mode for every camera, and photographed the cake again, front, back, and side angles. I taped a sign on the porch, deliveries to mailbox, visitors by appointment only. I drafted a one-page fact sheet for any curious neighbor, calm tone, Pastor Isaiah's number for reassurance. Then I slid the cake into the fridge, labeled it in bold marker. Do not consume. Evidence. The act felt sacred, not bitter. Love makes room, I whispered. But boundaries make home. My phone buzzed once more. The decoy fund pinged. $50 withdrawal attempt, flagged from a device marked kitchen iPad guest. I froze the account, locked the Wi-Fi, and reached for the spare keys in the drawer. That's when I heard it. 3 faint knocks at the back door. The knock came again, sharp and deliberate. I cut the kitchen lights, leaving only the porch. Flood glowing. The camera's red dot blinked steady. I stood where my hands were visible and called out, Identify yourself, please. A firm voice answered, Charleston Police Department, Officer Ruiz. Through the frosted glass, I saw one uniformed shape and 2 civilian outlines, female, restless, whispering. I unlatched the storm door but kept the chain. Body cam on? I asked. Ruiz nodded, hands open. It's active, ma'am. Behind him, a voice snapped. We just want to talk. I recognized the tone. Celandine's mother, righteous and uninvited. Ruiz turned. Ma'am, step off the property. Her reply rose, but I held still, pulse calm. We're not doing midnight diplomacy, I said. Ruiz spoke through the crack. Mrs. Marin, we got a welfare check call. Said you were unstable after surgery. My laugh came short. Whoever called doesn't know my blood pressure numbers. I pulled out my discharge note and held it to the light. You can read it yourself. He did, nodding. We also got reports of yelling from this address. I pointed toward the yard. Not from my side of the fence. The women were still there, voices weaving excuses. She's lying, she took the money. Ruiz raised a hand for silence. Step back, both of you. I requested trespass warnings if they refused to leave. I've got full coverage on camera and a sign-in draft. He checked my feed and said quietly, You've documented thoroughly. I exhaled through my nose, slow and steady. I just want quiet and paper trails. Officer. Ruiz wrote down my request, then issued a verbal warning. Re-entry tonight will count as trespass. Once inside, I motioned him to the kitchen table. My evidence sleeves waited in perfect order. NDA, cake envelope, screenshots, the timeline printed and tabbed. I handed him a flash drive. Extortion call from earlier, I said. Hash codes on the cover sheet. He studied it. Professional. Quiet. And this? He asked, pointing to the open folder. That's the decoy fund ping. The withdrawal attempt came 5 minutes before the knock. Ruiz scribbled the time, radioing a second unit to cross-check. Any other family have access to these devices? Guest iPad in the kitchen. It's logged as kitchen iPad guest. Shared Wi-Fi before I locked it down. He nodded. You want peace, not payoff, he said. Exactly. I'm preserving, not accusing. I printed the router log right there. Here, I said, sliding it over. The page glowed under the lamp. Device ID, timestamp, outbound attempt. Ruiz compared the time with his body cam. That's exact. A radio crackled. Venue confirmed multiple declines linked to that IP. He looked back at me. That lines up. I didn't smile. Victory is quieter at my age. Patterns don't lie, I murmured. He asked me to email the PDFs, which I did immediately, attaching the preservation chain from earlier. If threats continue, he said, we'll escalate to harassment and extortion review. Understood, I replied. The kitchen clock ticked between us like a metronome of reason. Outside, Ruiz faced the women again. "You've been given a trespass warning and are subject to arrest if you return." They tried to soften it. "Just a misunderstanding." I stayed at the doorway, silent. My neighbor's light came on. I gave her a small wave. Ruiz passed each woman a card I'd printed earlier. Contact via counsel only. I asked him to schedule a welfare check tomorrow afternoon to document my safety baseline. "Good call," he said, writing it down. "I sleep better when the paperwork's heavier than the gossip." I told him. His radio buzzed one last time. "Be advised," the dispatcher said. "Venue's fraud packet lists a name matching the welfare caller." Ruiz turned to me, brow lifted. "Ma'am, you'll want to hear this at the station in the morning." Just then, my phone vibrated. One new image, the cake in my fridge with a knife laid across the icing. By Sunday morning, Charleston felt quieter than it should have. I drove to the police station with my slim binder tucked beside me, every tab labeled like armor: router, decoy, NDA, social, timeline. I checked in under Officer Ruiz's case number. Detective Harper, a calm man with salt and pepper hair and the stillness of someone who's seen storms before, invited me to sit. "Mrs. Marin," he began, "we've reviewed the venue fraud packet. The failed cards match a device fingerprint registered to a guest tablet from your network." Then he paused. "The callback number used on the fraudulent booking, same number from the welfare check request last night." My breath caught, but I stayed steady. "So, harassment and financial fraud share a phone line." He nodded. "That's our linkage." Harper explained the subpoenas, payment processors, venue records, data pulls. I passed him the body cam number and the MD5 verification sheet for my extortion audio. "Everything you need," I said, calm as court marble. Outside the station, I called Thea. "3 moves," she said briskly. 1. Civil protection order. 2. Formal preservation letters to Celandine and Maris. 3. Witness cooperation notice to the venue. I agreed to every word. Within the hour, she sent confirmation emails, certified mail receipts, precise timestamps. The language was exacting, no emotion, no adjectives. Scope included every phone, router, and cloud account within the household. "You're done playing defense," she told me. "Now we hold position." I smiled faintly. I've never liked standing still, but I like standing right. She promised to coordinate with Harper directly so I wouldn't become the messenger. I drafted a neutral line to use if anyone baited me. All communication through counsel. "I wish you peace." Simple, factual, unshakable. I booked the courthouse slot for the CPO filing Monday morning. Afterward, I stopped by the church. Pastor Elaine greeted me at her office door, voice soft but anchored. "You don't have to explain," she said. "But we'll make sure you're not alone." Together we crafted a neutral public line. "It's a private legal matter. I'm safe and cooperating with authorities." She offered 2 deacons to rotate wellness visits for the next 3 days. I accepted. It wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. I later posted a short message on the neighborhood board. "Thanks for the porch light last night. Police handled it, and I'm fine. I left it there. No rumors to feed." Pastor Elaine smiled. "You always told others to document, not dramatize." I grinned. Now I'm walking my own sermon. By late afternoon, Vaughn showed up at my door, eyes hollow, posture heavy. "Mom," he said quietly, "Celandine's a mess. She didn't mean for it to go this far." I motioned him inside but kept my distance. Then she should have meant to stop sooner. I laid the binder open, showing the timeline, the decoy fund ping, the withdrawal attempt, and the timestamps. "This isn't imagination, Vaughn. It's math." His jaw tightened. "She thought you'd cover the deposit like always." That cut deep. Like always. I felt grief tighten into grit. No more shared passwords, no Wi-Fi, no cards. "You're my son, not my accountant." He rubbed his temples. "Give me time to calm her down." I shook my head. "Calm won't cure entitlement, and talk to a lawyer first, then talk to me." That night, Thea forwarded a thread from a burner account, rumors too specific to be random. "Non-disparagement clause breach," her note read. The grammar matched Celandine's posts. We logged the IP and sent a cease and desist within the hour. I didn't rage. I archived, timestamped, exhaled. Harper confirmed that the digital footprint tied back to the same guest session. "Every lie leaves a signal," he said. I thought of my late husband's saying, "Integrity is what you do after everyone's watching." As evening lights settled, I tidied the kitchen, reset my porch cameras to cloud sync, changed the guest Wi-Fi password, and made 2 mugs of tea. Habit, not hope. Pastor Elaine texted, "Praying at 6. I texted back, "Grateful." I wrote on a note card, "What I will not negotiate again, truth, safety, respect," and tucked it in the binder's front sleeve. My phone buzzed. Detective Harper again. Processor report came in early. One of the payment attempts traces directly to a Rourke-registered device. Guest iPad session. A chill steadied my spine. Seconds later, another ping, calendar invite. Family meeting, tonight, 7 p.m., sent from Celandine's email. Copied to me. I stared at it, unreadable smile forming. "Game on," I whispered. Clicking, accept, then I forwarded it to Thea. I pulled into the Rourke driveway just before 7. Evening light still hanging low on the marsh. The air felt heavy, not angry, just waiting. Inside, the dining table had been cleared, a single legal pad at the center. I placed my binder down, set my phone face down, recording off. Thea's voice came through speaker. "Counsel present." I looked at each face. No shouting, no touching my property. Every statement must be verifiable. Maris folded her arms. "This whole circus is humiliating." "Then let's end it with facts," I said evenly. Celandine murmured something about a bank glitch. I nodded. "Then we'll let the evidence speak." Vaughn sat silent, eyes red. He looked like a man who'd read the ending before the last chapter. I laid 2 envelopes before them. "Evidence and proposed terms," I said, sliding the first toward the center. Thea's voice was calm steel. "Processor report, timestamped this afternoon." I unfolded the letter. Multiple failed payment attempts linked directly to cards in Celandine's and Maris's names. The device fingerprint matched the number used in last night's welfare call. "And that's fraud with coordination," Thea said. The silence was immediate. Maris started. "There must be a misfile." "Chain of custody is intact," Thea interrupted. I didn't look at her. I looked at them. "This wasn't gossip," I said quietly. "This was paperwork." Vaughn lowered his head. I moved the second envelope into place. "This one's from the venue," I explained. "They reviewed the incident." I read the letter aloud. "Breach due to false authorizations and inappropriate conduct towards staff. Future bookings by Rourke parties are banned effective immediately." Celandine's face went pale. "You had no right to tell the truth?" I asked. "I have every right to clarify what happened to me." Thea's tone carried finality. "A retraction is part of the terms." Maris's mouth opened, closed again. I took out the settlement document. Crisp and clean. Immediate removal and retraction of all posts. Written apology addressed to me and the venue. Payment of damages, staff overtime, and my legal fees, 10 business days. No contact outside counsel for 1 year, Thea added. "Any breach triggers penalties under the clause." Celandine's hands trembled. Vaughn's jaw worked as though words might shatter him. "Return my guest iPad and delete all data copies within 7 days," I added. "Certified verification required." Thea explained filing protocol. "Sign tonight or we proceed at 9 a.m. with protection order and civil action." Maris tried to object. Thea overrode. "You're lucky this is civil, not criminal." Then came my turn. I removed one final document, yellowed slightly. "Notarized years ago." "My husband's trust addendum," I said. "I hold veto on all discretionary estate disbursements." I let that sink in. Maris inhaled sharply. Celandine froze. "Every move you made against me used funds you never had authority to touch." Vaughn's hands shook. "Mom," he whispered, passing me his phone. On the screen, a message thread, Celandine telling him to keep Mom sweet so she'll cover deposits. Attached was the burner handle that posted the slander. I felt no triumph, only stillness. Truth always cashes its own check. I said softly. They signed, one by one, pens scraping, papers clicking into Thea's folder. When it was done, I gathered my binder, slid on my shawl, and looked around the room that once held birthdays and arguments and now just quiet consequence. Thank you for choosing the lawful path, I said. No sarcasm, just closure. Outside, the air was cool and wide. I drove home with the window cracked, the church steeple blinking in the distance. By dawn, a courier envelope sat on my porch, Venue Security's USB inside. I turned it over and saw the label. Kitchen, back entrance. As I slid the USB into my laptop, the screen flickered, grainy footage of my own kitchen, time-stamped hours before the police arrived. A shadow moved past the back door, familiar but impossible. My breath caught. Who had been in my house, and what were they looking for?